Hi, I'm Ben from Fully Charged. I'm here with Clément, and we are now going to review the Xroad. And the Xroad is our best-selling, most popular, awesome e-bike. And I think the main reason for that is because it's weekday commuter and weekend explorer. So it's like 2 or 3 combinations of bike in one. And particularly with an e-bike that's designed to be on the saddle for a lot longer, this bike really does everything, and it's absolutely awesome. And now we're in season 9 Moustache, but really, yeah, like 4 years of the Xroad.
Yeah, that's a bike which has been asked actually by the consumer and by the cyclist. We were really often asked when we started the brand. Yeah, I really like your urban e-bikes. I would love to have one, but also I'm really attracted by the MTB because I would like to do some MTB in the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know which one to choose. MTB, I cannot afford to buy both.
Yeah.
And that was the answer, to have a bike that you can commute.
Yeah. Proper 50-50, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got, and for most of our customers as well, is they, when they talk about mountain biking, they don't necessarily mean doing jumps and backflips down, some ridiculous black run. They mean like going off into Epping Forest and going off on a long ride and, taking a road to get there and not having to necessarily put it in the back of the fancy roof rack and, actually riding to where you want to explore and doing that. And this really will deal with, tough terrain and you could take it on a technical mountain bike trail, and you could do a few jumps, especially with the full sus. But it's really, the suspension in it is designed to be, more for control and comfort, and ease and enjoying, and joy rather than hardcore technical tricks. And basically there's 3 bikes in the range that really, 3 different styles of bike, that's what's important, and we've got them up here. You've got traditional closed frame, you've got open and full open low step, and then you've got the full sus range as well, and they really have got it all covered. And they've even got a new extra large size, which is for people that are 6'3" to 6'8", and then they've got a small size, and even on the small step throughs, you can be from 5'2", it's awesome.
So yeah, the what's pretty unique is that basically we are using the same platform also for some MTB products within the range with less travel, but still it's the same principle, the same kind of kinematic, and the same technology in terms of battery integration. What we wanted basically was to have something which is really easy to maneuver, easy to ride, with a really low step top tube, even for the full suspension. That was really important for us. And basically we've been integrating the power tube battery within that down tube by hydroformating that tube with a special process that we use also on the Urban. We've been through the Urban line on another video, and that's the same principle. We've been redesigning the battery dock, the battery connection, let's say, to save some space and to have the weight as low as possible on that bike. And again, really capable. When you were talking about MTB, actually when we've been testing, and we do a lot of testing on all our products, we've been on our regular trail, MTB trail, to see how far we could go with that Xroad, and that's quite impressive. I mean, we have not been gentle at all with the bikes, and they're really, really capable. And one important thing also is that we are using the new CX, the new Bosch CX, which is a great motor, very powerful, 75 Newton per meter. So really, really powerful torque, really compact, and really adapted for off-road, where you really need some extra push. If you have like a really steep climb, you'd be able to climb this. And one important thing, you were talking about the suspension. We really developed the suspension and all the shims and all the internals basically of each suspension to fit exactly with the needs of the bike, with the kinematic, and to work closely together with the motor. So the main target basically is to have the maximum traction, to not lose any watt of energy because the wheel is, for example, rebounding on the ground. That's really important to keep the traction. So we've been working a lot on this new rear shock.
And but you've been doing the in-house suspension now for about 3 years as well, is it?
Yeah, more than 3 years. We've been doing our own shock on EMTB for a while now, developing specific solution for e-bikes, which are heavier,
with better rebound
and more weight. Usually you climb much steeper hills, so that requires some specific work on the rebound, partly to again keep the traction and keep the motricity at the maximum. So that's something that we work a lot, and we've been receiving quite a lot of really good feedback from all the media and all the tests we had everywhere in Europe about that rear shock. And now we are using the same technology for the Xroad category now with the full suspension.
And ultimately, for the less technical riders that I just want, don't need to worry about all that kind of stuff. That the main thing about why you would have the full suspension is just purely for control and comfort, and for people that are going off the chosen path and really want to go off exploring, and they don't necessarily know what terrain it's going to be because they haven't necessarily got a bunch of mates that do mountain bike, and they just want to go exploring, and it will just deal with anything, and you can't get caught out. And if you want to still ride at a decent speed and go over like tough foliage or tree trunk roots or whatever it may be, it will just deal with it, and it will just enforce confidence with control and comfort. And that is just really what adds to, again, going off for a 30-mile ride on an e-bike, which you possibly might not have done on a non-electric bike. Well, one thing I'd like to add as well is I don't think the Xroad gets enough respect, and there's not enough awareness built about it. Now, the reason I believe for that is because most of the Xroads sell out before the season's even really begun. So the Xroad 3 is sold out in open frame already. The Xroad 3 closed in large and XL is already sold out, and we're only in February at the moment. And the Xroad 5 medium open is sold out. The Xroad 5 large and extra large is sold out. So what I'm trying to say is most bike shops that don't pre-order Moustaches in the hundreds like we do will basically not emphasize how great they are or ever really learn about them because they can't get them. So someone's not going to walk into the shop and they'll be like, I've got to tell you about how great this bike is, but I can't get it until next year. So that's what I think is missing about how really great these bikes are. And we carry hundreds of them. Like literally over 200 Xroads we've actually ordered from Moustache, and we've got them coming through every month. And it's such a great bike, and I just think that people don't get to experience it because there's other brands that are readily available that mass produce them that don't sell out, and bike shops might kind of steer them into those other bikes. But yeah, it's really worth looking at the Xroad. And like just little reasons we were just talking as well about, like the overside bearings and the oversized, it's just, they're built to last, and they're built to, at the best, not with a profit margin in mind, much like other companies that are owned by groups that just try and cut corners and try and boost marketing and boost sales. That's not what Moustache is about. They're about creating the best brand out there and really getting their users to be their ambassadors and their specific dealers that invest in the brand, like us, to really point out. And that's why we're making these videos, so people can really understand that. But yeah, that's relates to the ethos of the brand.
That's part. Yeah, part of the philosophy. Today we see even like Moustache owners that bought the really early Moustache like way years ago, and very often they come back to us and they simply replace sometimes the bearings, because after 6-7 years maybe of use they would like to have some new bearings. They sometimes replace the battery to have to that's the benefit with Bosch. Year by year, sometimes you get a few hundred more watt for the same size.
For the same size.
So we have consumer also which bought the really old version of and now the bikes are still riding perfectly. They just change the battery sometime or just change the. And that's really important to us because, as you say,
those... Not like people that get annoyed with Apple that change their chargers all the time and get you to buy new chargers and stuff. It doesn't really happen like that. And you can even use an old, well not an old, but a previous 500 power tube with the Moustache adapter that you guys built in-house to be able... So if you have a 500 power tube from, you know, your friend's bike, your wife's bike, your old bike, whatever it is, you can actually use the Moustache exclusively built in-house adapter to be able to connect that battery in here to have a second battery. So they really have thought of everything. So this in front of us here is the Xroad 7 FS. Now these bikes are the top of the range. They really are high spec. They've got XT, they've got 625 watt hour battery, they've got the Suntour air suspension, they've got Supernovas, they've got the Bosch Kiox display. They've got, like, you know, that's the new Kiox, which we've done a sub video on. So if you want to learn about the different displays, like the Kiox and the hub, smartphone hub mount, then you can just check into one of our other videos with more detail. But basically, you're looking at a mega high spec mountain bike that's got a relaxed geometry and all of the comfort, including the Moustache special metal mud guards with all of the cabling integrated, a really strong rack and everything, and their new guard here to stop, you know, any splatter. And that bike is coming in at 4,599, and that's the top of the range Xroad. But then they do the entry level Xroads at 2,299 is the Xroad 1, but we don't tend to carry that because it's not an integrated battery, and it doesn't, you know, it's just really an entry level bike to kind of not scare people off as such with Moustache. But the Xroad 3, which is the white bike here, these come in at 2,899 with a 500 watt hour battery. And basically that is one of our most popular bikes. And then what gets a little bit confusing is when you're looking at the Xroad 5 and the 7. Now normally the 5s are all green, which is like a British racing green, glossy, beautifully finished. And then the 7s are normally red. But with the FS, they flip them. So the FS is either 5 is red and green is 7. So hopefully that's understood, but it's very obvious if you look at our website or the brochure.
So one aspect which is also really important for us is the wheel set. They are making a big difference when it comes to e-bikes because we spend a lot of attention and time to kinematics, suspension, motor performance, but if the wheel set is weak, then you lose all the benefits. So that's really crucial for us to have some really dynamic and reliable wheel set. So we've been developing some specific technology for extrusion of the aluminum to create the rims. This technology is the same technology that we use for the mountain bike range. So it's really reliable. It's with a specific cavity, so it's really strong. So you can go off-road and really have some proper impact, and the wheel won't bend. And in addition to the wheels, we've been also working since the beginning of that range with Hutchinson for the tires, with the Python. The Python now is the second version, and basically what is good about that tires is that's the perfect match for the program of the bike, because you have some grips basically on the side of the tire, and all the center of the tires you have really low rolling resistance. So that means that if you go commuting, you're not going to be stuck with
no noise.
Exactly.
They're great, and you know they're very different. A lot of people will look at them and think it's a mountain bike tyre, but ultimately it's a very clever design tyre that only really was born from e-bikes, because no one would technically have that on a non-e-bike, because obviously there would be road resistance. But yeah, it's an awesome tyre, and they've got loads of puncture protection as well. So they're fantastic. So now we go into size, and basically if we pull this bike down, so this is a large, and I am 6'1.5" inches. And basically, if I drop that down a tiny bit, you'll see that geometry is really nice. So you're not as upright as the Friday or the Samedi, the Samedi 28, but on the Xroad, you've just got a little bit more of a sporty geometry. So you feel a bit more sporty, you've got a bit more control. But yeah, I mean, as a size guide, anyone between 5'10" and 6'2", I would say would be a large. But we've actually got a proper chart here which tells us that Samedi, Xroad, FS. So you're looking at, on the FS range, small 5 to 5 foot to 5'6", medium 5'5" to 5'11", large 5'10" to 6'4", and then XL 6'3" to 6'8". And on the normal Xroad, non-FS, small can be 4'10" to 5'3", medium 5'2" to 5'9", and large 5'8" to 6'2". But they do an XL, which isn't on this sheet as well. So effectively an XL would be more or less the same as the FS, but let's say 6'2" to 6'6", 6'7", would be what we would recommend. And then in terms of the prices, just to recap on them, you're looking at, from the start, Xroad 1, which is the non-integrated version, 2299. Then they have an Xroad 2 as well. We don't tend to carry much stock of the Xroad 2, but it's 2599. Xroad 3, we've got a lot of stock, which is 2899, which is the white bike. Xroad 5, we have got a little bit of stock left, but Moustache are already sold out for the whole of 2021, and they're 3399. And then Xroad 7, which we've got loads of stock, is 3899. And then you can add about 500 on for the FS version, or 5 to 700 depending on the bike. But yeah, the FS, the top of the range FS, which is this one, is 4599, and you know, it's a high price ticket, but it is a seriously great bike.
And it's really complete. Like, means you have a commuting and you have a mountain bike all together with all the necessary accessories for urban mobility, mudguards, the rear rack, which are also compatible with the MIC standard, which is a standard which is developed by Basil, the brand, so you can click accessories really easily on that one. You can also, of course, use the Ortlieb QL3 system. So that's the 3 little slots.
The quick release from Moustache, which is here.
And you can fit within a second.
So easy and so quick on. And then you can literally just pop it off like that. All heat sealed. That's a collaboration between Moustache and Ortlieb, and it's a really good collaboration. I've actually used one for the last few years, and yeah, I can't fault it in the slightest.
And in that version you have the Supernova lights also, which is a brand from Germany, which are doing like probably the best lights on the market right now in terms of quality. So really well made, all CNC, very powerful. So again, you have all the necessary accessories, and of course you have the mudguards, which are Moustache aluminum tubulars, which are triple gravity. So even if you go off-road, if you crash or whatever, don't worry about the mudguards; they will resist.
And they're tubeless ready as well. These rims. And then what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, and the new CX motor. I mean, you can look into our channel for another video more about the difference in between the active line and the performance line and the CX. But the CX is so great now. It's 700 grams lighter, is it, than the old one?
Yeah.
And
50 inside, it's 50% more compact compared to the previous version. So it's a huge difference compared to last year.
So we've got
CX.
this fantastic model here, which we show to our customers, which kind of goes into the insides of it. But I think the main thing to take from it is the fact that you don't have that resistance at 15.5 anymore. And whereas some people would restrict their bikes, you just don't really need to, because you can easily get past that. It almost feels like the bike is still assisting you up to kind of 18 or so. It's kind of disengaging a clutch, and suddenly you look at your speedo and you're doing 20 miles an hour, and that's pretty fast on an e-bike, especially when you're going off-road. So yeah, it's really well thought out. It's absolutely great, and yeah, they're one of the most. I'd say it's actually the most popular category from us is this weekday commuter weekend explorer. So we really highly recommend this bike.